From humble beginnings in 1985, Javza has come a long way. We have expanded exponentially, growing into a thriving business platform. Today, Javza has become one of the largest business communities in the region that enables trade by providing efficient, productive, and innovative trade solutions. Javza is now a game changer in trade and logistics. The multimodal connectivity expands your market's reach to all corners of the world. The unrivaled benefits of establishing your enterprise in Javza enhances your success to a whole new level. Javza today is a prestigious address for thousands of successful companies across multiple sizes, sectors, and specializations. At Javza, we are fueled by your trust and inspired by your growth.
We've come a long way to get to where we are today. From what started as a single dream to enabling millions of dreams. From a handful of experts to thousands in our team. From two-wheeler to becoming a financing leader, we cover the length and breadth of our nation. As India moves forward, we move forward. With resilience, resolve, and determination. With a focus on digital and innovation. We are relentless in our drive as we strive to meet and exceed the evolving needs of being Bharat ka digital lender. In a market filled with increasing choice, we needed to find our unique brand voice. As part of our journey to tell our growth story, we spoke to people across the country, covering all our stakeholders from customers, channel partners, and employees. We sought inspiration in their values and aspirations. We breathe new life in our brand identity, framing human stories through windows of opportunity, reflecting our vision to empower upward mobility, broadening horizons through financial accessibility. Our loans symbolize a dose of confidence, the confidence to make it happen, the confidence to take action, to form collaborations, to go further than we have ever before, to become an inspiration and hero to all. Hero FinCorp, the confidence to make it happen.
From here, possibilities are everywhere. From taking first steps here, to beginning your own wealth journey here. From backing global trade ambitions here, to delivering on that promise here. From representing a team here, to empowering lives here, here, and here. That's why we're here on the ground. Here where you need us, in the world's most dynamic markets. A bank that connects potential to possibilities. So, where will you go from here?
In the heart of India's economic resurgence, a powerful pulse drives innovation and growth. This is ET Now. From breaking news to market insights, we bring you stories that matter, analysis that empowers, and shape the economic landscape of the nation. Join us as we navigate market complexities and spotlight global change makers. ET Now. Rise with India.
मैं हाँ दिलजीत दोसांझ
I really enjoy it.
One of the strengths of your country is clearly its youth. You have so many young people in a vibrant society with a lot of creativity.
It's trusted and reliable and curated. I'm a big fan.
Social in a good way. So the intent was to create a headline, possibly get featured in one of those brute videos.
ये मेरा ही डिजाइन है और एक महीने में मैंने इसको बनाया है.
Yeah, we're a couple.
It is very liberating.
You have a famous hair flip that you do.
That's true. I haven't done it.
Hit us with that.
Okay.
Oh, wow, brilliant.
Welcome to Dream Set Go, your destination for the most exclusive sporting experiences from the House of Dream Sports. Watching your favorite game from the stands feels great, but for some, great isn't good enough. They want something exclusive. Like cheering for your favorite team is exciting. But to be invited to their practice sessions, now that's exclusive. To watch a big match from the boardroom is fun. But to hold a board meeting at the venue before the match, now that's exclusive. When your favorite driver wins the race, it's epic. But to watch the race from the paddock, now that's exclusive. To witness India's glory at the Olympics is unforgettable. But to sit alongside a champion,
now that's exclusive.
and imagine traveling to your dream experiences like this. Exclusive, right? Get the most extraordinary sporting experiences with Dream Set Go. Book your tickets hassle-free and experience the exclusive.
What's the point of personal loans for upskilling if you're going to get them this late? Always pick Sabse Quick. Loans from Hero FinCorp.
Everyone has a journey, and it has to begin somewhere. As we unveil your story with precision, we allow you to rest as ancient wisdom guides you. Imagine a place where we live in harmony with nature, without any change. Every raindrop collects and flows through the veins of the architecture. And as the sun appears, it fuels our entire existence. So our journey continues as we introduce our holistic ecosystem that builds the true meaning of clinical wellness. This way, Tula becomes more than a destination. It becomes a lifestyle.
We are all united in our desire for the same things. We want our businesses to grow, our careers to flourish, and our communities to thrive. We want to meet people who energize us, share exciting ideas, and discover new opportunities.
From India to the UK to the UAE and beyond, IGF is committed to bringing the contemporary India story amongst ongoing global turbulence.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to you all to day 2 of the India Global Forum, where India meets the world and the world meets India. And welcome to the Founders and Funders Forum, where we are going to be talking everything AI today. My name is Laura Buckwell.
Good morning, I'm Aarti Subramaniam. Thank you all so much for being here. For those of you who were here with us yesterday, welcome back. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, you've picked a cracking day to be here with us. And to all of us who are joining online, welcome. Please remember, we would love to hear from you. Do use the hashtag IGFUAE.
Yes, and today we are going to continue to identify the new economic opportunities amid what is a rapidly changing world, with a key focus on AI. And to give you a bit of perspective, by the way, AI is projected to contribute $15.7 trillion to the global economy by 2030. And as His Excellency, the UA Minister of Artificial Intelligence, who was with us here yesterday, said, AI technology isn't just an option now, it really is a necessity.
Indeed, it is. I want to say, none of what we're saying today has been written by ChatGPT, in case any of you were wondering. It's all us, not AI. But yes, as you know, we are increasingly in an integrated AI world. But are we going to adapt? Are we going to thrive? Are we prepared to face those challenges? In an increasingly integrated AI world, what are the possibilities? And absolutely, what are the pitfalls is what we're going to be discussing today.
It sure is, and let's find out some more, shall we? So, Aarti, it's over to you. I believe you've got a great discussion to kick off day 2 for us. So,
thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much, Laura. Well, Y2K, I'm sure a lot of you have heard the term. For our young audiences who probably haven't, it was prophesized to be the end of the world, this apocalyptic situation where, because of a technological glitch, the world's going to come to an end. No spoilers, that did not happen. It was supposed to happen in 2000. But we did see a glimpse of what that world could be like earlier this year when CrowdStrike crashed and it affected in a cascading impact governments, hospitals. And in fact, I do want to do a quick check later this afternoon to find out if any of you were affected. But we saw the impact of that from Morocco to Melbourne, and it was quite grim. Are we prepared for another scenario of this nature? Well, we have our experts whom we're going to ask today. First, let me invite Mohammad Abu Hamra, Chief Operating Officer, Digital Technology, DP World, GCC. A big hand, ladies and gentlemen. DP World are also our associate sponsors. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please have a seat. Thank you so much, Mohammad. Welcome to IGF. Welcome to the Founders and Funders Forum. Now, you work very closely with digitizing global trade. So let me first talk to you about the possibilities of AI. We always start with glass half full. We're an optimistic bunch here. So let's talk about the possibilities first. How do you see AI transforming logistics and trade?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting DP World to be part of this great forum. Speaking about a very important topic today on AI, and yesterday on several topics on the trade routes and other aspects on economic zones. AI is a very important topic. It's a hot topic nowadays in all the industries, all the worlds. 6 years back, when people were defining AI as only robotics or hardwares or arms, we can say that it was an optional thing. But as the Minister of AI in UAE said, it's not an option anymore. It is in the core of every industry transformation, ranging from trade and logistics to pharmaceuticals, which is healthcare, oil and gas, aviations, and many others. It is at the core of any transformation of those industries. Today, AI is reshaping and reimagining how the industries work. We are speaking about a lot of benefits that it brings specifically to the trade and logistic industry. Speaking about a better and more optimized cargo movements from points to points, city to city, country to country. We are speaking about an enhanced operational efficiencies either inside the seaports or inside the logistic warehouses or in different areas. We are speaking about benefits on transparency of supply chains where we can serve our customer in a better way. Digital technology and AI, which is part of the digital technology, is embedded in every part of the supply chain, from the factories, farms, retail shops, e-commerce platforms, port operations, zones, and so on. There are a lot of things that we are doing in DP World, just for the sake of time and to be on a brief. Something that we started 15 years back called Dubai Trade Single Window. And that is started as a simple platform to allow the community, and we are speaking about 180,000 traders in Dubai, importing, exporting goods, flourishing the trade sector here in Dubai, participating to the global supply chain on that platform. Our aim was just to digitize the services, but now our aim from this single window is to create an e-commerce or an Amazon.com experience. Why I can buy, or my 8-year-old kid can buy an iPhone or an iPhone cover or any small things from an Amazon.com in 2 minutes and finish the payments and just wait for the goods to be arrived at home. But when we speak about importing or exporting a car from US or from India or anywhere, it becomes a nightmare. And people should go and see the middlemen, the freight forwarders, and pay extra charges, pay the middlemen for a complicated process. So our aim with the support of AI is simplifying the import and export process, creating those digital corridors that will boost the trade and logistics sector in Dubai. There are many opportunities that we are tapping in, and one of them is the inland transportation. Today, if we speak about one port in the whole global portfolio that we have in DP World, which is Jebel Ali Port, and it's the 9th to 10th largest port in the world in terms of volume, there is a huge complexity in the inland transportation. The process today is dismantled. We have the transporters, we have the truck drivers, we have the port authorities and port operators, we have the governments, we have the authorities, RTA and so on. All are speaking in different places, dismantled manual processes. Today with AI, we created an AI-packed platform called Cargo Waves that simplify and reduce the cargo delivery time by 40%, having a full coordination between all those stakeholders, creating the job very simple. A final use case that we are doing to enhance and boost the supply chain and trade industry in Dubai and globally. Just 2 months or 1 month back, we won an award, the UAE AI Award, in one of the computer vision advanced software that we build internally called Tanbih. Tanbih in Arabic means alarm. It's a computer vision software that reads the pictures, analyzes them. We have trained it by 500 plus hours. Now it can detect fires for safety aspects. It can detect PPE compliance for the operation, putting in mind the heavy operation we have in the ports. It can detect traffic and many, many others. So those are just an example to show how AI is closely embedded in each angle and each piece of the supply chain and logistic industry.
Right. Now, we don't know quite yet what the final frontier of AI and technology will be, but what at least is the next frontier, in your opinion, on AI in trade and logistics?
I think in a world that AI is embedded in each and every piece, today it's a decision or it's a call by the organization either to be an early adopter of AI or just wait for the technology to mature and just implement it and buy it and then having it in a safe way. There are a lot of things. Today we are speaking about a fully autonomous supply chain. And this was just a dream a couple of years back. We started seeing it after COVID. We were speaking about supply chain resilience. People understood how important is supply chain resilience to sustain nations. We are not speaking only about AI or technology-packed supply chains and so on. We are speaking about sustaining the nations, moving goods, moving medicines all over the world. And that appears during COVID. AI will allow us to create those autonomous supply chains that are divided into different verticals. The first vertical will be autonomous vehicles. This is one of the latest advancements that we can see it. Having an autonomous vehicles, moving the cargo from warehouse to the port without drivers, without human interventions, having an optimized routes that will save time, make the process more efficient. In addition to that, having an AI-packed platform for a better customer experience, supported by blockchain, fully automated warehouses. Today, yes, it is there. We see it some part of the world, in India, in US, in Dubai maybe, but still the fully integrated ecosystem between the port, the roads, the warehouse itself is still missing. So the advancement of AI will help us to do so. Many advancements will be there that will really improve and remove the stereotype that people are always saying about the logistic and supply chain industry, that it's lagging in terms of technology adoption. So we are seeing it, we are living it, and we are adopting it.
All those advancements are there, but with those advancements come certain pitfalls. And we have a wonderful panel, and let me just invite onto stage Rajesh Nambiar, President of NASSCOM India, please, and also Alexander Kanin, CEO of the Polynome Group. Onto stage, we're going to be discussing, of course, whether we're ready, we're not.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would you please have a seat? Thank you. Before I get to you, gentlemen, just very quickly, quick poll of the audience. How many of you were actually impacted by CrowdStrike? Just a quick show of hands. Was there anybody? Okay, one. Wow, 2, we have quite 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, not bad, not as grim as probably many people thought. So perhaps we are quite insulated from the tech crash. We are Y2K ready in case something like that happens again. But let me start with, in fact, all of you first, starting with you, Alex. Do you think CrowdStrike was an aberration? Is it a sign of things to come? And should we be prepared for it as a little precursor?
You mean the accident about CrowdStrike, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So actually, it's the sign of some fault architectures. So the initial architecture, when hundreds of companies were fully dependent on some cybersecurity, AI, and in general cloud architecture, was incorrect bet. So, and it's a strong signal that all companies and all countries should think about some sovereign AI and IT landscape. Because when we talk about AI, it's usually cherry on the top. But the fundamental problem is architecture. So, so this landscape of CrowdStrike applications. So when, let's say, Delta Airlines, so they lost almost $500 million because of this failure. In general, so companies lost more than $10 billion. And it was the cost of just applying incorrect configuration to the CrowdStrike update. So, so it's a strong signal that every company should have their sovereign AI and IT landscape, and they should have they should increase investments in redundancy of IT infrastructure. So it means they should work on offline models. So it should be possible when you have updates from the cloud provider, but in the same time, you should have some offline, like fully ready applications. Yeah, so I think, so this is the only way how you can survive.
Yeah. Rajesh, let me take that to you now. You know, just one loose screw that can derail a train and result in a massive accident. That's almost what we saw, right? Obviously, in the technological, I'm just using that as a metaphor. But do we have, what Alex is saying, some offline security measures in place, and how realistic are they? Today, if you don't have, you know, your digital wallet, you still have cash. What is the equivalent in that sense in today's world when it comes to technology?
Hope this bike works. Look, you know, since you talked about CrowdStrike, it's a great example of how, you know, when the whole CrowdStrike was actually meant to protect in many ways the cybersecurity, and as Alex was, you know, very beautifully mentioning, it was supposed to protect the whole system, and, you know, eventually it ended up. The analogy I have is that if you hire a bunch of you know, let's say a security team or something to protect your house, and by mistake they kind of light your house on fire, right? That's exactly what happened. You know, clearly not intended, but certainly that's what happened. I think it goes back to, one is having a bit of a balance between speed and quality. I mean, you know, in the technical world we call it CI/CD, which is continuous integration and continuous deployment. So that's a cycle they've been running, all of these product vendors, which means that you're constantly deploying something into production, and hopefully you're testing it enough, right? I mean, that's where I think Alex was talking about the AI, the influence of AI in terms of testing and ensuring that you're putting it into production without much of an issue. And there again, the balance is, as I mentioned before, speed and quality. You can also look into security and stability, right? At the end of the day, you know, both are important, and you can't say that I want this over the other. But at the end of the day, you know, are you really, you know, have the resilience built into some of this? To your point, how do you make sure that, you know, when something goes wrong, the ability for you to recover very quickly? Yeah. So this whole notion of cyber resilience, how do you build in those enough redundancies in the system? Because, you know, we're all, by design, we are very efficiency driven. We want our system to be efficient. So redundancy is not a very nice thing for people to go after, right? You know, so they want to reduce redundancy and make sure that you're super efficient. But in this world, I think that is probably not, I mean, if at all there is something which even the COVID-19 taught us, it is not to be totally go into the extra edge of resilience, edge of efficiency, but also look at resiliency as a measurement. So you got to balance it out. How do you make sure that you can't put all your eggs in one basket? The same way, when you create systems, create enough redundancy so that the resiliency angle, the stability angle, the ability for you to get back into action pretty quickly becomes that much more important as efficiency, as important as everything else that you're going to be doing.
But is that a bit of a paradox where you mentioned resilience? Does that resilience also come, and Mohammed, I'll take that to you as well, does that resilience also then come from using AI to fix problems created by AI?
Sorry.
Go ahead and then I can...
No, 100%. So I think when we talk about AI and cybersecurity, there are two ways of looking at it. One is cybersecurity for AI. Do not mistake that for AI for cybersecurity, right? These are two different things, completely different things. Let's talk about the first one. How do you make sure that there is enough security built into AI systems? Why? Because AI, by definition, it is about dealing with enterprise data mixed with LLMs and everything else. So you've got to have plethora of opportunity for you to have data leaks, data security issues. You have a bunch of things happening because of the fact that you're deploying AI at scale. And number two is with generative AI especially coming in, you have all these options of, especially since it's dealing with large language models, you're going to be introducing things like, while training, the LLMs are built using training models, there's enough opportunity to build in biases. Same thing with at the time of inference, you will have hallucinations of these AI systems. So how do you make sure that you're providing enough cybersecurity into those AI systems so that, and Alex, you alluded to having an AI governance model. How do you make sure that these systems that you're building, not at the end of after you're built, but while building, ensuring that enough security is built in so that you get the right leverage. To your point, now AI for cybersecurity. Cybersecurity today, and I have no doubt in the future, will 100% depend on the AI-based cybersecurity systems. And why is that important? Because look, at the end of the day, if you look at the cybersecurity world, the one thing which people are concerned about is the ability for you to have a very, very seamless cybersecurity management, whether it is identity management, whether it is access management, whether it is in terms of having the cybersecurity on the data. All of that is better managed through an AI system rather than human beings or the traditional IT systems because of the fact that there's volumes of data, the ability for you to detect an incident, ability for you to process such a volume of data is only possible with AI. And hence, AI is much more important for cybersecurity than anything else.
Yes, Alex, problem and solution. Sorry, Mohammed, I'll give you the final word.
That's fine.
Yes.
Yes, so your question, when AI can watch another AI to predict and forecast some problems. So, actually people used to blame AI for any problem. I am AI advocate and I am AI optimist. So, and I can tell you, so if you check carefully all reports of accidents and all the data, so the typical problems, not because of artificial intelligence, most of failures because of natural intelligence. So we should invest in natural intelligence as well. So the second problem, when we talk about protecting AI, so cybersecurity, like to protect against data leaks, to protect against non-traditional cybersecurity things, but AI cybersecurity angle like adversarial attacks, deepfakes. So the quality of deepfakes now is so amazing, so it's so photorealistic. Yes. And traditional antivirus and anti-DDoS protection cannot survive if you attack with deepfakes and adversarial attacks. Yeah. Adversarial attacks means when you create the AI model which imitate and damage another AI model in production. So if you take care about the things, so it will help a lot in the future to prevent some accidents. And another one aspects, before building some AI applications and AI-dependent services, you should think carefully about AI architecture and the capacity. Because most of viral applications, they consume the huge compute power. the lot of GPUs. And you know, a lot of limitations from US export controls. It means in the region, so in UAE, in India, there are a lot of limitations and a lot of shortage of GPUs resources. So before scaling up, you should think about corner cases, like to have enough compute power.
Yes, yes. Do you agree with that?
I agree with both of my colleagues. I'm trying to see it from different angle here. I can say that failure may happen. CrowdStrike was one example. Microsoft was another example this year. And many are yet to come. And your question was, will we see a growing pain from those AI adoptions? I can say yes, there will be growing pains due to different reasons. One is AI is still advancing, still not mature, but we see people are really hungry to implement. Industries are hungry to implement in different use cases. So having the immaturity in some of the applications will cause more failures, more errors, and that would cause more either local or global failures. In addition to that, speaking about CrowdStrike or any other platform, security platform or connectivity platform or anything, that is one. But having an AI integrated, implemented in those organizations means a very complicated integration layers, which will really amplify and double and triple the effect on failures if on businesses if failures happens because of AI failures. So if I see it from different angle, I can say that we have to consider it the same way we do in investments. We have to diversify our digital infrastructure. Don't depend. Today we see the service provider are doing A to Z offerings. We have to change our strategies in how we go toward those AI applications, AI infrastructures, and so on, where we can diversify to find a way to continue our business if a major or global failure happens.
Yeah. Completely take your point. I think that's a valid point. We are running out of time, but because all of you have mentioned resilience, all of you have mentioned backups, I want to ask you how ready you are, and all three of you, and I'm going to take that to the audience as well. How ready are the three of you in the eventuality of another tech crash? How analog are you? Let's put it that way. On a scale of 1 to 10, Alex, starting with you, how much trouble would you be in if your laptop crashed or your phone crashed?
We usually apply hybrid intelligence, so not fully rely on AI. So I recommend to have multiple connected devices synchronized with the cloud. And even if you are cloud lovers, you should have some hard backup.
Write your passwords down on a little diary and keep it safely. That's what you're saying. Yes, Rajesh.
No, look, I think the alternative for AI or technology is not going back to analog, right? I mean, alternative is probably yet another system in many ways. So yes, I mean, as long as you have a strongly built redundancy and then the resiliency that you created, whether it's your personal life or otherwise, I think you'll be fine. I don't think there is this doomsday thing situation of none of which is digital will stop working, will probably be unfounded in many ways. But having said that, I thought your question was also around how analog you are. So I think there are lots of areas where you do not want digital. For instance, I'm probably one of the very few people, I still like to hold a newspaper and read it in the morning, right? So that is something which you may or may not have digital. I like to look at an art which is done by a human being. It's not necessarily, even though the AI and generative AI today can generate probably close or maybe better art than many of the human beings, but still, that some of the creativity you still want the human beings to do. You don't want to have a food cooked by a machine. You want a food cooked by some good chef. So some of these things which you still want to preserve in your mind, the analog nature of what you were saying, but broadly, I mean, you cannot resist technology. Beyond a point, I think there's enough redundancy built in within technology. So the answer for your crash on your systems is not analog at all. Crash for systems is another system.
In another system, yes. Final word, Mohammed, how analog are you? Are you ready?
On a personal level, To be honest, no one is ready. We just need to evolve our proactive risk management approaches on how we address things. Last week I was in Switzerland. I was going to a mountain, driving my car with the family. I had a blackout area disconnection of 20 minutes in my phone. I felt that I passed away. I lost the whole world. Just 20 minutes. 20 minutes exactly. My wife was asking me, let's check on our children, let's go back. It's exactly 20 minutes. So this shows how ready we are.
Yes.
The more integrated our life is getting with the digital world, with the digital innovations, the more our organizations are getting integrated. AI now is coming on top of this to make it more complicated. A lot of benefits are there for businesses, industries, government, and personal levels, but still there will be a lot of pain areas that we need to address them one by one together as one ecosystem, not alone.
Perfect. And I have just one final question for the audience because I'm completely out of time and also in trouble for that. But just one final question to check with you how ready you are. Unfortunately, not for questions, but I'm going to ask you all one question if that's okay. Sorry, we're out of time. Very quickly. And I promise you, I'm not planning to steal your wallets. How many of you have cash in your wallets in case, there is no digital payment failure? Wow, well done, everyone. So if your wallets don't work, at least you have cash. So well done, at least you are ready. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you, really appreciate it. This has been a fun chat. We have run a bit over, so thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think we get a quick... That's fine there. Flora, back to you.
What an excellent session there, and the perfect way to kickstart day 2, ladies and gentlemen, and the first day here at the Founders and Funders Forum, of course, as well. And yes, all of us can relate, I'm sure, when it comes to the sheer terror of when you lose your mobile phone. The panic hits, doesn't it? Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our next discussion. And next up, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to talk about communication in the age of AI, a topic that has shaped the very way that we connect, inform, and inspire. But the question is, ladies and gentlemen, how do we ensure that AI enhances human connection rather than replacing it? Well, who better to give us the latest updates and insights than our next panelists? So, ladies and gentlemen, please do join me in welcoming our brilliant lineup of guests. First up, we have Abu Mustafa, who is the head of Large Enterprise EITC at Do. A very warm welcome. Abu, wonderful to have you here. Please do take a seat. Dr. Anurag Guglani is our next guest. He is the board member, co-investor, and chairperson of multiple family business groups in the MEASA region at Wazir. Fantastic to have you here as well with us. And rounding out our panel very nicely, we have Nitin Kaira, who is corporate HR manager at RA International UAE. A very warm welcome. Please do be seated. And yes, what a brilliant panel lineup we have for you for our next discussion. And yes, as I mentioned, everything communication in the age of AI. Right, Abu, let's start off with you. Let's go straight in. What does communication mean in the age of AI?
It's a very good question. Good morning, everyone. And I want to start by thanking IGF for inviting us. Thank you. Always, this is a prestigious forum, and welcome everyone in UAE. Let me start with the question to the audience. Always audience are expecting me to answer, but I want to start with the questions. How many of you communicated with AI today? Show of hands, please. This is quite few. Now think about this. 2.5 billion people communicated with AI every day, from optimizing our commutes to shaping our daily news. AI is unseen force. It's already shaping our life and how we experience the world. And when it goes to the customer service, it's not limited to single industry. Starting from the banking, now we can see all the banks move to AI mainly in the customer service. We have here Mashreq Bank decided to switch off and cancel all the physical branches and only relying on a chatbot, virtual assistants when it comes to the banking services. Emirates NBD integrated 200 instant services in their application powered by AI. When it comes to education sectors, I introduced robot teacher to 16 years old students last GITEX in October this year. And imagine, the students can ask any question and they get the answer in any language. So there is no limitations and the barriers from the language. This is the impact that we have from AI. When it comes to retail, because I'm a commercial leader, I believe only in dollar signs. So retail sales only coming from a chatbot's interactions increased from $7 billion. Keep this number. This was 2022 to what? $112 billion last year, 2023, as per Juniper Research. And in UAE, conversational AI generated revenue last year, $318 million, expected to $1.2 billion in 2030 as per Grand View Research. This is the impact of AI. AI can enhance the communication in customer services by mainly three factors. Handle customer inquiries immediately, quickly, efficiently. Second is analyze customer data for personalized experience. And the last is anticipate issues before happening and suggest solutions. This is just a brief on the impact of AI in our customer communication now.
I mean, the impact is absolutely phenomenal, and some of the figures you've just given us there as well. But actually, AI's been around for quite a long time. Last year was actually the year of AI, and now we're really seeing it come into play. And I don't think we've realized that there's actually quite a lot of AI that's been underplaying in the undercurrent quite a long time anyway, hasn't it? But very quickly, Dr. Anurag, really wonderful to have you here. Now, just a bit of background on you. Very interesting. You're an ex-Air Force fighter jet pilot. I've been hearing. You're also the recipient of the US President's Lifetime Achievement Award. You've got some incredible achievements under your belt. You do a lot with different international companies as well. What is your area of expertise around AI? What's your focus?
I came to the panel, so I thought I'll add some spice to it.
Please, yeah.
But let me ask this, since you asked a question, I'll also ask a question. How many of you ever dreamt of becoming a fighter jet pilot ever?
Oh, trust me, I did.
Very cool job, my goodness.
So that was my life dream. At the age of 17, I was fortunate to get accepted in one of the toughest military officer academies in the world. And at the age of 21, I was flying MiGs. But unfortunately, that career didn't last very long because during an aerobatic maneuver, where I was driven more by emotions and gut feel and over enthusiasm, I tried a second loop, and the distance between ground and air was not adequate enough. The aircraft crashed, I ejected, and that was the day of realization that sometimes emotions can overpower. And since we are talking about AI pilots is not very distant dream. In fact, AI co-pilots who are emotionally detached are going to become the norm very, very soon, till people accept that they are okay to fly in an aircraft unmanned, right? So that's part of where the flying part comes in. But subsequently, many years before, I decided that I need to now fly on the ground. So I today sit on the board of 8 of the largest family business groups in the region, responsible for driving their transformation, turnaround, scalability, investments, and expansion. And I also have a holding firm, which is a multi-family office. We co-invest along with large family business groups in terms of scaling into different geographies. Right? And incidentally, I also hold 2 doctorates. One doctorate is in intelligent automation, and which is why probably I add some value from that perspective. And the second doctorate is on family business disruption, 2 very, very critical parameters for family businesses. So all my exposure is around family businesses, and I'm happy to add value there.
It's going to be interesting from an investor perspective from you a little later on as well. Funny you say, you know, AI is going to be used as a co-pilot, because people say that AI is going to be used as a co-pilot just in general. It's basically going to be our tool, our co-pilot, exactly. Nitin, wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.
What would you say is more important for communication? The ability to empathize and have a real human connection, or speed and efficiency and get the chatbot to do it right now?
See, I think I'd agree with both of my colleagues. We need to have change and development in place. However, it does not have to be at the cost of emotions and empathy. So most important, I think, I had my colleague talking about banks. So most of you today, if I ask a raise of hand, how many of you are frustrated with the chatbots of banks? There you go. So with the development of artificial intelligence, we need to understand there's an intelligence getting developed in human as well. So back in the days when my mother would be able to go to a bank with the passbook, get her entry done, today my mother can call a bank and she can speak to them. While the next generation uses most of the mobile apps to know your balances, statements, and other stuff, right? So if I am calling, it means I'm trying to reach a human, right? So we need to break a pattern where we're saying everything needs to be AI-driven. Otherwise, it will lead to a digital isolation. People will get isolated. There will be communication gap. And I mean, it comes to talent as well. Today, a lot of trainings that we're developing, a lot of content that we're developing stands alone on digital platforms, right? There is very less classroom feedbacks or classroom sessions happening across. But I think most of our development in the past, and I think both of my colleagues will agree, happened in our classroom trainings. We sat together, did brainstorming, and I think AI came out of those brainstorming of somebody in that session.
Well, as you mentioned, I mean, there is an element of frustration when you speak to these chatbots. But my bank does it quite well, in fact, because you have the automated service. You basically go through all the options. Okay, we're going to put you through to someone. Mm-hmm. So it's that really nice mix of both of, finally I'm going to speak to a person, But there is a lot of frustration for me, and obviously with our audience.
Like I said, it has to be a balance, absolute balance between human empathy and the artificial intelligence. Remember, the system is developed by human eventually, right? So it could have its own bias in place, but you need to have human interaction in place.
I'm going to speak about bias in just a moment, actually. But Abu, what do you think when it comes to human oversight and creativity, when it comes to AI, to sort of enhance rather than undermine a human connection and experience?
It's a very important question. So chatbots, I agree with you, have been criticized when it comes to the complex interactions. So there is lack of human emotions or empathy. This is a big gap currently on the AI systems. But also we cannot deny AI systems, they are very, very well and excel when it comes to the speed, personalization, and fast responses. And from my point of view, it's about a balance. It cannot be binary either or. So my colleagues in the previous panel mentioned the hybrid model. So we can balance between the human, and the human can always step in when it comes to the complex problem solvings or emotional, conversational is needed. And allow AI to go with the routine, frequent asked questions, and human can step in once needed. And there are a lot of progress here in this domain. Companies like Google, Microsoft, and the IBM, currently they are in front of developing AI to make it more empathetic. And they are working on natural language processing and the machine learning techniques to make AI more human emotionals. And this is, again, coming with the more development techniques. I believe we're still at the beginning of the journey. From my point of view, just applying different strategies to balance between the human empathy and the AI when it comes to the speed and personalization that we are in bad need for it when it comes to the scale. One is human in the loop. Allow AI to deal with the routine. And when it comes to the banking, when it comes to more complex or emotional or even just escalation of any fraud, the human has to step in. Second is sentiment analysis. Use sentiment analysis to measure the emotion level. Then adjust responses accordingly and allow AI to learn. The last is allow user to escalate if any misuse or any frustration. So this can be reported, and again, the AI will allow. But we cannot say no emotions from AI and shut it down. We need to allow AI to learn more and step in. And believe me, even the conversational that will start, the end user will start to adapt, starting to ask specific commands or specific sentiment for the AI to get the quick responses. And many of us are starting to adapt the language when it comes to speak to the AI or the voice command when it comes to the banking as just our daily activities.
I suppose when it comes to customer service, especially in the banking industry, even if you are speaking to a person, then they don't really give you that much sympathy, do they anyway? So it's like, but you know you're speaking to someone and it's going to get done, and I don't know, there's more trust there, I suppose, right now. But just very quickly going back to the family business aspect of things, how are family businesses using AI to their advantage? Give us an insight.
See, the global statistics about family businesses are that 70% of family businesses unfortunately do not survive into second generation and 90% don't survive into third generation. And those are very alarming statistics because we are talking about a lot of livelihoods. I mean, even in this country and a lot of countries which operate, majority, the backbone of the economy is family business, right? So here in the UAE, that was identified. In fact, Sheikh Mohammed, when a major scenario happened with one of the biggest family businesses here where the chairman passed away, created a lot of chaos. And that gave birth to something called family business law, right, which pretty much exists only in this part of the world, and a blueprint around family governance with one single objective that these family businesses should thrive and survive into subsequent generations. Now, ironically, what's also happening is that we have the young generation who has had the privilege of growing up in luxury and getting educated in some of the top universities in the Western world. And when they come back and want to join the family businesses, they don't really like the way they are being run because they are run in a very traditional manner, right? And which is where I, about 8 years back, I came up with this solution that technology adoption could be a bridge between this generational shift, right? Not so much from the perspective that you are improving the efficiency of the organization, but more also that how do you bring the young generation also to become a part of this and make it tech attractive. And about 8 years back, I started a program for the private sector here called automation, intelligent automation, which at that stage used to be called something called RPA, which is robotic process automation, where you have bots which mimic the action of human beings, right? And they pretty much start doing that work better, more efficient, not getting digressed by a WhatsApp message coming from home or whatever, and can do multiple functions. Of late, these bots have become artificially intelligent, and with LLM and machine learning, they are constantly upgraded themselves. So today, and we have deployed things like this across multiple family businesses. One bot can actually, I won't say the word take away the jobs of 6 people, but make those 6 people more valuable to the organization to focus on what human beings are best at, which is change management, emotional management, people transformation, and all of this. Even today, when we go around family business transformation, while everybody thinks it's about supply chain transformation, finance, cash flow, and all of that, 80% of the problems are because of the humans not adapting to that change. So a lot of work is done around that. So AI has been deployed in this manner. There's another program which I created, which was about startup adoption. So any startup which is coming up with a technology disruption to a traditional business model, we created a program of adopting that startup under a 51-49 equity ratio and bring them on a plug-and-play mechanism into the family business. So with the two-pronged approach, it supports the founders of the startups for immediately go-to-market, and it helps the younger generation take charge and bring in that technology innovation inside the family business.
Really interesting. Wow. Very quickly, because we are running out of time, these sessions go incredibly quickly. Back over to you, Nitin. I just wanted to sort of swing back into the interaction of these different types of AI models, because obviously that type of interaction, that automated service, caters to the majority of people. So what happens to the minority that don't fit in with that? Because at the end of the day, it's just data input, right?
Sure. So, I mean, I've said this before in my previous sessions as well. With artificial intelligence comes data biasness and algorithm biasness. So like it is developed by any individual, it needs to learn. And I think both my colleague has been repeating that. The system needs to learn and evolve over the period of time. We've just stepped foot in the room. It's not that we know the artificial intelligence by hand or back of our hand. It will take a lot of years for us to adapt the artificial intelligence. But yes, there will be outliers, there will be biasness which needs to be controlled, and ethically guidelines needs to be put in place. I think that's majorly required here.
We've only got 5 minutes, so just a quick question each right at the end. And I wanted to continue actually with some of the ethical considerations that we need to think about, Abu. What do you think needs to be prioritized when using these different types of AI communication tools?
I think this is a critical question. So the AI ethics is very important, and it has to be governance, and we have to develop a framework how to use and how to utilize the AI. Because you see, it has now, they have access to massive data, either personal or public or even government level. So this is very important to regulate this. In UAE, we developed the AI ethics framework and the guidelines in 2017, and this is overlaid with the ethics of AI. And this should be overlaid with the data protection law, which is governance, how to use each personal data, privacy, and how can we get just the maximum use of it without any privacy leak or so. But this is very important. Framework for AI ethics to make it happen with the maximum benefit of use and avoid any risk associated with.
Very well said. And actually, speaking of regulation, Dr. Guglani, you've also actually been involved in the policy formation around the UAE cybersecurity law, data privacy law, and many others as well. So how would you say AI disruption is very much both a risk and an opportunity at the same time?
See, we operate businesses in 26 countries in 24 different industries, right? And I, as a board member, I am a qualified CISM, which is Certified Information Security Manager, Certified Data Privacy Solution Engineer, Certified in Governance of Enterprise IT. And I don't need that for a job, but I do that for a simple reason that if the board level you don't understand technology and technology risk, there is no way you can support the organization or the C-suite of the organization to take decisions which are in the interest of mitigating that risk. Because I form boards, we also have this rule set in that gray-haired men cannot comprise more than 60% of the board seats, and balance 40% should be equally divided between women and youth, so that they can bring in that angle or aspect which is differentiated, right? And fortunately now in the UAE, it has been mandated that there should be one woman on the board mandatorily. So technology risk is classified as the highest business risk today, not spoken about, but I have at least 100,000 cases in UAE where companies have paid ransom, they've been hacked. Ransoms from a minor amount of 200,000 dirhams to $75 million have been the ransoms asked for. So the whole problem is because people have adopted technology very quickly after COVID, but mitigating that risk around it, the talent doesn't exist, that mindset of putting budgets around that does not exist, and the education of people is not there, right? And similar situation is happening now with the AI adoption because there is so much of, around it, and which is why we play a very, very strong role in creating those AI governance techniques so that businesses across multiple countries can be managed centrally and governed well.
And that's the thing, that cybersecurity aspect, a lot of people forget about that, and it's always sort of, later down the list because people don't really want to spend the money. But I mean, the security and insurance that you need as technology advances is vital. So, right, the final word for you, Nitin. How will AI transform the future of communication going forward? What do you see is going to happen?
So it will change. Like I said, with time we will need to develop. Remember 3 things. We cannot lose our creativity because of technology. I see from an HR perspective today, a lot of CVs, resumes just being pulled out from the system and thrown to recruiters, or systems at candidate screening being developed which rejects qualified CVs. So ethical guidelines needs to be in place. The communication will increase. You cannot avoid change that's going to come. But do not lose your creativity and do not lose your cognitive ability. It is going to be the human factor which drives AI in the right direction. If we lose that, like with the use of calculator, people have stopped using 25 into 25 in their brain today. But with the artificial intelligence, we should not lose our creativity.
Very, very well said. Sadly, that is all we have time for, but we cannot thank you enough for your insights there. And any other further questions, please do make sure you speak to any of our speakers. Do connect with them just outside after this. But in the meantime, let's hear it for our panel. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. And yes, up next, we have the anatomy of winning a pitch with Arti. So welcome back to Arti. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Laura. That was wonderful as always. We're talking AI, we're talking learning models, we're talking ChatGPT. So we thought we'd ask ChatGPT a question which plagues a lot of people. What are the key aspects, or what is the secret mantra for a successful pitch? And I think we have the answer with us. This is what ChatGPT said. We asked, because prompts are very important, I'm a tech startup founder, give me 3 key bullet points for a winning pitch in less than 20 words. So highlight the problem, show unique value, prove scalability. That was the answer. But what do our real life investment gurus and extremely successful business people feel about that? We're going to hear from them. If I could invite onto stage Mr. Sanjay Nair, founder and chairman of Sorin Advisors, who are one of our key sponsors. Mr. Nair, if I could welcome you onto stage. Somdatta Singh, founder and CEO of Acidus Global, and Mr. Prashant Prakash, partner of ASL India. Please welcome onto stage. You can pick your seats, that's okay. Welcome, all of you. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to have you here with us on day 2 of the Founders and Funders. First, quickly, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much would you rate those 3 points? So,
very honestly, being an entrepreneur who also invests, pretty much 0. There are certain things ChatGPT cannot do, so don't just go by that. That's the first step.
Yeah, so not very impressed, Prashant?
I think it's a subset, so I would say about 4 or 5, yeah.
Yeah. Sanjay?
Yeah, I agree with Prashant. I think somewhere 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Yeah. Do you use ChatGPT at all? Have you ever used ChatGPT, Sanjay?
No, I don't.
That's fine. I'm sure we a lot of people, though I do want to ask the audience honestly how many of them have used it for a pitch. But let's get to the meat of it. What would you say differentiates, Sanjay, a good idea from a great idea?
I'm kind of new in the venture investing world, so unlike my 2 colleagues here, for me it's got to be kind of a reality check. Is it a real idea, and will it really scale up into a real business that solves real problems? That's what I would say is an idea, and if it's done and if it's disruptive in a way and is a solution to the traditional business models or traditional solutions, that's fantastic. And if it uses technology and is scalable because of that immensely, with great operating leverage, even better.
Tom?
I'm grateful to Sanjay because he just defined what Acidus does, right? Why I said a 0 to the ChatGPT, even though I use ChatGPT very judiciously, to train ChatGPT on why Acidus is better than its competitors, right? It's an amazing tool if you can do it well. But having founded a company and having also like a family business that invests, I'll tell you this, and this is a complete reality check. I'm sitting with the godfathers of investment here. You may talk about the problem, you may talk about the solution, but if it's not long-term, if it's not scalable, and if it's not profitable, you're gonna fail. And I'm not saying that failure is a bad word. It means first attempt in learning. The question is, are you open to that? So when I pitched, and I'm sharing this with a real absolute humility, I've got rejected 37 times when I started first pitching because it was too passionate, right? Then I realized that there were 2 ingredients that was missing in that. Prudence, which is facts, numbers, how it's going to scale, what is long-term, can it work even if I am not there? Is it too founder-dependent, or is it a business that can scale because it has a thesis that is super strong and the moat that is super strong? The first and the third part is the perseverance. We think no is a bad word. I don't think so, Prashant. Sometimes no just means the next opportunity, the new option. It means something is not right for you. We, as founders, take no too personally. So passion, prudence, and perseverance. Those are the 3 key attributes of a winning pitch and a winning business.
You've raised a lot of points, and I do want to pick up on some of the stuff you said, especially failure, because I think we're not often taught well how to deal with failure. But Prashant, I'll let you come in, and then we'll circle back to dealing with failure and rejection.
What part do you want me to answer? I mean, whether...
No, just what is it that defines, or for you personally, what is the difference between a good idea and a great idea?
See, a great idea has, I think, two qualities. One, it has to be novel enough, right? Being too early is not great, but an idea whose time has come, right? And that's what great investors are able to do, right? Spot an idea whose time is now, right? So that is one thing that defines. Second part, I think, which is important, is what I call as founder product fit. I think not all founders are great for all products and all companies. I think it's very important to see, is this the right founder who can make this idea work, right? I think these are the two things. And for the first part, there are a lot of ecosystem elements that need to come into place, or you need to have the capability to build those ecosystem elements. So when Flipkart started, I mean, the time was great, but they didn't have a payment system in India. They didn't have a logistics network in India. They had to build those. So I think ecosystem, the timeliness of the idea, and the founders fit for that idea. I think those three are important.
Founders fit. I think, Som, you talk about this, right? A good visionary doesn't necessarily make a good CEO.
Yes, all the time. I think a good founder is not always a good CEO, but a good founder can become a good CEO if you know what you're not good at. That's very important. I think that awareness, when Prashant talks about the founder to product fit, it means that if you do not have the domain experience, the knowledge, the acumen to build something, but if you have a great vision, then either you hire a team that is better than you without any ego, knowing where to leverage, how to leverage, or you don't build it at all. Also knowing when to exit. It's very important, I think a lot of us are very attached to the idea of, this is my company, it belongs to me. No, you're building for the mass. You're building to make money. At the end of the day, business is dhanda. It's supposed to build scale, profitability, tangibility, and therefore, the awareness of the founder to know when to step back is also important. So I always say, Steve Jobs needed a Tim Cook to make Apple what it is. And sometimes that is what makes a long-term, sustainable, scalable business.
Sanjay, I see you nodding, and you please feel free to weigh in on that. But let me put something else to you. I'm sure often when you're a recognizable man, people often come and tell you, I have this wonderful idea, Sanjay, please, why will you invest money in this? Firstly, and that's where Shom's idea or concept of failure also comes, right? How do you reject somebody gently sometimes, right? In India, we're not always taught to deal with failure well. In America, for instance, failure is just seen as part of the entrepreneurial process. In India, failure is seen quite often as a stigma. So one, how do you let down someone gently so as to not burn them forever from the entrepreneurial journey? And two, sometimes I'm guessing you also have to let them down harshly.
So just to be precise, you're saying if we are listening to a pitch, how do we regret it, and then how do you kind of manage?
How do you reject somebody if it's a pitch that just doesn't have meat?
Look, I think that at least in the country from where we all come in India, I think empathizing is very important. When I was in the private equity world, I used to tell our team, and we were told by our super bosses, that saying no in a very elegant way is extremely important, because saying yes is the easy part.
Yes.
Saying no is very important. And I think the way you say no increases your respect in the eyes of the founder, and that's how other founders again come to your firm and look for capital, because they see you as somebody who has done. So that's the basic part of it. I think the more important part is, if we recently, what I'm at least learning is a lot of this in the venture world where I'm new, saying lots of no's, right? And but given with the no, I'm also helping them, or my team is helping them pivot to a different idea. So may not exactly be this, but can you do it this way? Plus, we come from backgrounds. But I've been 4 decades in finance, so helping them connect the dots and get them different introductions, different GTM strategies, maybe connect with different experts. So saying a no and yet not letting them down is also, I think, an important role that we can play as folks with experience. And third, I think it's just good to guide. If the guy is very young, one can, give him a bit of sermon. I don't like to sermonize, but I try to tell them, learn from the mistakes that you made, and what can you do better. But that's a bit of sermon, and I try to keep away from that. Idea is to really say the no, but help them pivot, connect the dots globally, because we have a lot of contacts, and in India, and help them still find kind of success into something different. Yeah, but it's not easy, and I think saying no abruptly is just not right.
Yeah, Sean?
Firstly, because I've heard so many no's, I always say this. Can anyone say that they learned how to walk without falling a few times? But when we grow up, we always taught to believe that rejection means it's the end. We take it too personally. Is why I also think that for all entrepreneurs, taking their mental health seriously is super important, right? Dealing with understanding that everybody's perception of your business is not necessarily the reality of your business, right? So failure is the first attempt in learning. No is a new opportunity, but I also say this. Look at Canva. Everybody knows Canva. Everybody uses Canva. Canva is now on ChatGPT. She had 110 rejections, right? You don't give up. The other thing is the tenacity and the perseverance of not giving up if you really believe in something that you're doing. And that's where the real moat comes in. Are you chasing a valuation, or are you focused on value creation? If you're chasing a valuation, then you can go up very quickly and come down even more harder. Because the moment you get quick validation, you're chasing that. And then when things don't work out, you can't handle that. It's worse. It's okay to be a tortoise. And I think I discussed this with Prashant, and he always guided me. Don't be a rabbit. It's never going to win the race. It's a temporary fallacy. It's not long-term sustainable. And if you're really building a good business, it should be client-funded. It should be. It can't be an investor-funded business. If you're even building deep tech, unless you have 4 or 5 proof of concepts where people are okay to pay for it when you built it, it's not something that you're building for long term. So I think that's where I take it. I don't take no personally, and I don't take yes very personally, because I know that both has its two ends. What I take really personally, if a client has said a no to me and said that, you know what, I don't want to work with you because of this reason, then I go back and reflect with my team, what can we do better for them so that we can bring them greater value.
Of those 37 rejections, does one really hurt the most? Or still hurt, rather?
I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm saying this very openly, I did battle depression. Because it's not easy. First of all, less than 2% women get funded. And I built 2 businesses before this and successfully exited it. I myself invest in businesses. So, one question I asked, why are they saying no? The business is profitable, it's scalable. Most of them had never built a business on their own. 1. 2, that's why you can't take the no personally. And I remember talking to my therapist who said, listen, have these guys really built their businesses? Why are you taking it so personally? Second, you may not fit into their thesis. They may come back later. Why? It's no is not permanent, yes is not permanent. And one of them actually came back later, who's a part of our journey now. When he heard from another client who invested in us and said, part of their book, from their book balance, he said, you know what? Are you kidding me? You're not a part of this journey? And they came back, and at a higher valuation. So see, neither no is permanent, not yes is always the end, right?
Yes, Prashant.
Yeah, see, for us at Accel, I think we look at this as the most important thing for the entrepreneur, right? Meeting with us. For us, it's like 1 of 10 meetings, but for the entrepreneur, it is the meeting. Yeah. So it's about how prepared can you be for that meeting, and the onus is on you. If you have a thesis, you need to be able to be on top of the thesis so that you'll be able to tell the entrepreneur, is there a fit for you as a fund? I mean, the idea can be great, but the entrepreneur may not just fit with you, right? So it's important to articulate that. The second important area, and I think Sanjay alluded to that, where can you really guide the entrepreneur from there? And in many a time, it's all about them not knowing what metrics do they need to build up before they actually get the investor to believe, whether it is, the early customer traction, the repeat with the customer, and there could be, and for every business it's different. From your experience as an investor, can you guide the entrepreneur to say, you know what, if you build out these 3 things and you come back or you talk to any other investor, you got a better shot at being invested. So that is what they will value a lot. And finally, the third thing they'll value a lot is understanding of the market. See, they have, of course, been in the market for 1-2 years. And hopefully, it's not an entrepreneur who's just, the entrepreneurs who are the worst in terms of pitching are who got the idea last month and think that they know that space better than anybody else, right? But the real entrepreneurs who spend a year to go deep, soak themselves, and if you are able to actually help them understand the market they are in slightly more deeper, then you have really added to them, and they will remember that, and they will say, you know what, this meeting really mattered for me. I mean, I didn't get money from this fund, but it was the most useful meeting, and you need to have that takeaway from the meeting. The onus is on us for that.
Yeah, I see both of you nodding along very... sorry, Sanjay, I thought you wanted to come into that. Okay. No, so let me ask you, we are talking about the anatomy of a winning pitch, right? So when an entrepreneur comes to you, what would you say are the absolute no-nos? We always talk about, you've mentioned a lot of things you want. What are the 3 things you don't want at all?
At least again, in my recent experience, I think sometimes the arrogance comes through quite easily in a discussion. So again, if he's a well-trained presenter, he won't let it through. But if you're experienced enough, you can make out where the arrogance comes through the pitch or the discussion. At least in our fund, I do at least 2 meetings with the founder. The team runs the rest of it. But you try to get a sense, is this a person who will listen to you or just like listen from here and take out from there? That's one. Second is, will he be able to pivot at every point there's a bit of a failure? And third, is he able to, does he hire people that just look like him and talk like him, or does he hire diverse people? And I think these 3-4 things come out quite easily in the discussion. So I think one is that somebody who gives you a sense of arrogance, doesn't listen, it's, everyone should look like me. I think that's a big no for me, at least. Because then it shows up somewhere in the future. Hopefully he succeeds. I think the second thing is that, if you ask them a few questions and you get a sense, they're not, this is a difficult one, but you got to figure out, are they creative? Can they think laterally? And in a way, ask for help as well. A lot of them just say, look, I know what I'm doing. They're asking you for the funds, but that... So I think all of this basically weaves into a sense of hubris and arrogance, and it's tough to assess, to be honest here. And the last one is, when someone just says, I'm at an ARR of $500,000 and I'm going to get to $1 billion tomorrow or in 3 years, and therefore the valuation should be this. I think just completely puts me off, because I think, as Som said earlier, they've got to have some sense of reality of what can get scaled up. When do you exit? Everybody wants to be a unicorn. You don't have to be a unicorn, by the way. If you're 30 million today and someone gives me 300, I'm done here. So I think those things sort of, I try to assess those, frankly, yeah.
Yes, Som.
I think Sanjay summarized it so beautifully. I think one thing which entrepreneurs, and I think it comes from a place of emotion, is why checking on your emotions is very, very important. Humility is what builds good business. Why I've always idolized Mr. Tata and his way of thinking is you take everyone along, which means you are aware of what you're not good at. You're constantly learning. And I've shared this with Prashant, and a lot of people know. I have never built a company as big as Ascites. When it started growing significantly, especially because there was one of our competitors went out of business, CloudTel, and we didn't know how to handle it. 0 to 10 and a 10 to 100 is a very different thing. And every company that I built have exited at a certain scale. I was scared. I'm like, maybe I'm not the right CEO. And I remember one of my mentors who I look up to, and this is Abhishek Lakshminarayanan, who was the ex-chairman of CloudTel. He sat me down and he said, this is real. this is happening, which means you need to go back and unlearn a few things so that you can learn how to run this better. So I went back to study again, and I went back to Harvard. There's a program called OPM. I joined it, and I was surrounded by people who have built and exited businesses, who come from huge legendary families. Like I was with the Yamamoto family. One of the Sions was a part of my class. And guess what her problem was? They have a 330-year-old legacy. She's trying to find what to do. She has so much money, she doesn't know what to do with it. So everybody's problem is a problem. So sometimes unlearning is what makes a great, great CEO, right? Because your thought process has to change. You have to understand the operational metrics very well. You need to have KPIs for yourself. And you need to be open to, and both these legendary people who are sitting next to me, I've always got guidance from both of them. Like I'm saying that if you're open, it's not necessarily money that you need. Sometimes the guidance, sometimes the mentorship is so much more valuable, right? And they can open doors. They can give you clients. They can give you access to things that will bring capital in an indirect way, which is more sustainable and scalable. So these are very, very important attributes if you really want to build a legendary business.
Yeah.
Awareness, acceptance, and then being able to work on yourself.
Prashant, I'll give you the final word. I know you are in a bit of a rush. You have warned me, so I'll give you the final word.
So, little bit of a nuance there on being arrogant, and so you'll have to read that a bit, right? Some entrepreneurs come through very firm, determined, sure about their idea and product, and in that pitch, we shouldn't as investors overread that as arrogance, right? So we might miss a great entrepreneur. So I've done both things, right? So I'm just kind of, I felt somebody is very arrogant, but actually the person was really being so sure and passionate and firm.
Confident in their idea.
Just being confident. Yeah. So we need to kind of, double click on that a little bit. The second most important thing in a pitch, when I've seen, and I'll give the example of Harsha, Swiggy, when he came to us. So his big, the great entrepreneurs and founders are able to get to the central idea and that one thing that will give you the right to win, right? So in those days, of course, food delivery in India was not very common. So everybody was, okay, delivery, right? Okay, you'll get food delivered, great. But he had this one idea that people don't mind what the quality of the food is. They only care about how quickly the food comes to me. It's okay if the food is like 70%, 60%, but can I get it in 20 minutes? If the best food after an hour is no good, I'm like done, right? So that whole idea of, he called it the hunger savior thing, right? That Swiggy wanted to be the hunger savior. So, and that was so, that played out so well. And I think as investors, we need to see if that entrepreneur has that one unique right to win and is able to articulate that in the pitch very well. Because you can make hundreds of slides, but can you get to that one thing that will make you feel? And I can give you multiple examples. So the best pitches I've seen are very, very short, very, very small, because that's how simple and beautiful the idea is.
It has to be an elevator pitch. I hope all of you have been taking notes because we've got some great insights from these three hugely successful people, and I'm sure we can all benefit from that. We're completely out of time, but thank you all so much for being here, for being part of Founders and Funders Forum and IGF Middle East.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us out.
I'll take that.
Everyone has a journey, and it has to begin somewhere. As we unveil your story with precision, we allow you to rest as ancient wisdom guides you. Imagine a place where we live in harmony with nature, without any change. Every raindrop collects and flows through the veins of the architecture. And as the sun appears, it fuels our entire existence. So our journey continues as we introduce our holistic ecosystem that builds the true meaning of clinical wellness. This way, Tula becomes more than a destination. It becomes a lifestyle.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, please do stay with us. We have a brilliant panel coming up next, not one to miss. Now, my panel earlier, ladies and gentlemen, was on AI and communication, but we're now going to turn our attention to AI in healthcare. And AI is no longer a distant promise, ladies and gentlemen. It's here. It's transforming the healthcare industry as we know it. So to guide us through this vital discussion, we have yet another exceptional panel lineup of speakers for you. So please do join us and we will get started. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome our first guest. First up, we're delighted to have with us here today Michael Shelper, who is the Senior Vice President for Corporate Development at Care Syntax. A warm welcome.
Any space? No?
Wonderful to have Michael here. Next, ladies and gentlemen, we are absolutely delighted to also be joined by Marwan Abdulaziz Janahi, who is the Senior Vice President of Dubai Science Park. A warm welcome. Wonderful to have Marwan with us here today. Khalid Sheikh is the founder and CEO of Prognica Labs, and he is our next guest. Great to have you here. And Siddhartha Shah is the founder of PharmEasy, who rounds out our panel here this morning. Wonderful to have you here, as I mentioned. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, what an incredible panel lineup we have here today to tackle this subject. And let's dive straight in. The time is never really on our side with these sessions, sadly. So Michael, I want you to be our sort of scene setter, if possible, and obviously tell us a little bit more about Care Syntax within this as well. But we've got so many AI-driven innovations when it comes to healthcare. We've got innovation in terms of wearables. We've got predictive and early detection systems as well, and we've got robotics and things like that. Tell us a little bit more about what's happening in the industry for the average person that doesn't really know much.
Well, maybe we can start with something that is a little bit scary, that the average individual, like you and I, goes to the doctor or a health facility 5 to 6 times a week for about 20 minutes interacting with the healthcare system. That is what currently the decisions are based upon. But that also leaves another 364 days and 23 hours that we generate data points, that we take decisions that impact our health, life, and well-being. But these two areas are not effectively connected. If we dive into the details of the healthcare field, a minimum of 30% of all the data that is generated in healthcare is in silos. And that is a staggering number. If you look at 30%, I mean, if I ask any of you, do you have access to your health record? Most likely I have this deer in headlight moment, right? No, you don't. And that is a problem, because we are all global citizens, we are traveling around the world. That is something natural in the financial services industry where we can use our credit card wherever we are. But when it comes to healthcare, somehow we're a little bit in the Stone Age. And that is also maybe the beauty about technology advancing that fast, because we do have already a foundational digital transformation that is completed. So a lot of data is actually in a structured form captured. But we have to enable this structured and governed data flow along the entire patient journey to finally utilize technologies such as AI, LLMs, ML, computer vision, many others to really generate the insights. So it is up to us to really enable that, but we also do see that healthcare providers have this perception they're sitting on a pot of gold, which is data. But more and more they're getting to the realization that we don't know how to unleash the value that lies within this data, so we have to partner up. And that is where I believe, particularly in the part of the world that we are in, you have very progressive regulators that enable a structured and properly governed data flow to enable the new use cases, whereas in some other parts of the world that is not easily possible. So there's a lot of value, but we have to dare to leverage technology to then identify what we don't know yet. There's a lot. I hope that helped in setting this in.
No, 100%. And at the end of the day, it's all about data quality as well, and what to do with all this data, exactly. So really interesting. We're going to come back to you in just a few moments. But Marwan, really fantastic to have you here. Now, great strides are being made over at Dubai Science Park, and it's really putting Dubai and the region, in fact, very much on the map in terms of healthcare and innovation. So tell us a little bit more about some of the strides that are being made, especially, though, when it comes to personalized and precision medicine through digital healthcare.
Yeah. So firstly, thanks for having me. It's great to be part of this forum. We have been existing for now 20 years. So February of next year will mark our 20th anniversary. Although we were not operational from day one, there was a lot of building involved. And we've been operational since 2009. But we always wanted to create a community that caters to the entire value chain, from R&D to manufacturing to logistics to sales and marketing. And that kind of gave us a great pull to be able to attract companies in different stages of development, not only those who have a final product, but those who are also working on a product. And I think that is one of the key advantages of Dubai Science Park, in addition to the network that we have, to the engagement that we do with the entire network. And just by doing that and being very consistent for the last many years, we've been able to have more than 500 companies. And in different areas, pharma, biotech, medical device, medical equipment as well, and also people who provide services, whether it's testing, so, and it always evolves. We never stop. We always look at new areas that are evolving, that are growing, whether it's digital health, personalized medicine. And I think the other key role that we play is to kind of activate the entire ecosystem. So we don't work by ourselves. We have the government ecosystem and the stakeholders, whether it's the federal or the local. You have the academia that are also very, very important, doing lots of research, ideation. You have the investor community that eventually invest in some of those companies. And that's, I think, the key thing is to be well connected. And play a role where you basically create win-win situations. So that's the reason why we've been growing, from 2009, and I believe we will still continue to do so.
And brilliant, essentially, to have everything all under one roof. So you're all there together, and you've got all different pockets of different areas, so you can come together and create those partnerships and share that knowledge, which is vital. But we're going to go to research and development a little bit later. But in the meantime, really wonderful to have Khalid Sheikh here with us, Prognica Labs. Now, AI and robotics very much raises questions when it comes to the balance between sort of human empathy and automation when it comes to delivery and care. So how do we make sure that this type of technology complements rather than replaces that human element? Because when it comes to healthcare, it's called healthcare for a reason, and you want that human element. So what's your take on that?
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here. See, my company, we started just 3 years back. And we have been more focusing on to AI-based technology for breast cancer. So currently focus is breast cancer, but while working with a couple of hospitals and diagnostic labs out here, one thing we have learned that at least 30% of there are the cases of misdiagnosis, and this data has come out from the breast cancer consortium. So our application, while we have actually implemented with a couple of hospitals, we have seen that there has been at least 12% of workload reduction. So what I mean to say is, when you have these kind of applications implemented with the healthcare providers, the radiologists and the doctors get some time to actually show the empathy or person-to-person relationship with the patients. So that's how I think AI can help rather than taking actually work from this thing. So yeah, so this is what we have actually implemented that, yeah.
Instead of taking over, it's very much using AI as a tool like lots of different industries are doing right now, and making sure that AI is always your co-pilot and helping you in whatever you need to do, basically. Yeah. Really interesting. Siddhartha, wonderful to have you here as well. What advancements do you see AI having the most sort of impact on in terms of personalized medicine over the next couple of years? And how exactly are you adapting to this rapid evolution of AI technologies within your business?
I think the big impact we're seeing on AI is also in terms of making healthcare more affordable and accessible. And I think there are different levels at which people are using AI, right? From tracking your parameters to, them using for high-end breast cancer. I think the company that, we run, we're basically connected to about 40 million patients in India. And we do our diagnostic lab today does about tests for 450,000 patients a day, right? So we're actually talking at how do you use AI to provide affordable quality healthcare at a massive scale, right? So there is one level of AI which is precision care at the top, but then there's one which does it at a large scale. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Today, our SaaS tools which empower doctors to consult patients, where the time to undertake the patient's symptoms, findings, history, diagnosis, and treatment can all happen, which on an average took 10 to 12 minutes. Using AI and predictive algorithms, it actually happens now under 1 minute. What that means is that the doctor can either spend that extra time talking to the patient, or most of these doctors today who are overburdened with the number of patients that they have to see can now start seeing more patients at the same point of time and make care more affordable at the grassroots level. In terms of our testing, we just published a study today, today in the sense, a couple of days back, on the correlation between your food habits and diabetes. Now, the previous study was done with about 20,000 patient samples. We did it with 2 million patients. And it's only possible because of the fact that we could collect the blood glucose tests of so many patients at a similar time, correlate that to their geography, their food habits. And all of this is only possible because of the transformational power of AI to be able to do studies at this scale, right? Not by a factor of 10% or 20%, but a factor of 100x. Right? And all of these things have magnanimous effects of making care more affordable and personalized at the ground, right? And we're talking of in a country of 1.4 billion people where most of them are still reliant on public infrastructure for healthcare. You are trying to use this to make it better. And I think the impact over there is not just measured in terms of better quality of lifestyle, but in fact by longevity in terms of just primary healthcare and so on and so forth. And I think I fundamentally believe that the power of AI will be seen much more at that scale, vis-a-vis, and I'm not trying to belittle the impact of AI in complex cases with and areas where there are fundamental breakthrough in new biologics, but I'm talking of AI at, having impact at a level of probably a couple of billion people, and I think that is where the impact will be felt the most.
The impact that AI is having, especially in the healthcare industry, is absolutely phenomenal, especially when it comes to early detection, Michael. So how do you see AI enabling preventative care strategies here in the GCC in particular, particularly, let's say, for very serious conditions such as cancer? What's happening in that respect?
I'll just do a little excursus of what you said earlier with respect to where AI is coming in with the wearables, back to the point we are generating a lot of data outside of the healthcare system. And there's no practitioner and there's no interest for anybody in the healthcare system to effectively analyze that data with human capital. It just doesn't make financial sense. However, that is where technology can come in and finally identify the patterns and really correlate and bring it together. Because looking at very serious conditions such as cancer, and let's go into one area which is very specific, colorectal cancer. You do have screening guidelines in place. You do have currently tests available, such as a stool test, which, by the way, nobody likes to do, right? You have colonoscopies, which are much more invasive. And then again, you have not necessarily the financials aligned. There's a lot of companies, or some more advanced, because they do it tissue-specific in terms of liquid biopsy. So imagine that you just have another drop of blood on your annual checkup. You then leverage technology to identify even the precancerous stages, the advanced adenomas. With that, you actually open up the funnel for colonoscopies that actually should do a colonoscopy for the patients, because there is potentially an advanced adenoma that can be removed, with that potentially eliminating the growth of cancer altogether. And that is possible due to AI. That is possible due to advancing technologies on the genetic side, and really figuring out how can we make it less invasive, seamlessly integrated into the lives of all of us, so that we can do the preventative areas and thus catch a very horrible disease such as cancer in the early stages. Because I would say treatment rates or the successes are extremely high in stage 1 and stage 2. When it comes to stage 3 and stage 4, that is a very, very sad situation. So we have to identify it earlier. But that is the biggest challenge. Talking about breast cancer screening, super important that it happens. The earlier you identify, the more you can do. But when you do not have access, back to the point of what can technology help with, really providing access, that is where we have to leverage it in order to really get it to the masses, to identify what can be prevented, and that has a positive impact on the health economics as well.
Really, as you said, yeah, early detection and preventative care are going to save so many more lives, and this is the technology that's going to do it at the end of the day, right? So Marwan, back over to you. Let's move back to research and development, vital for all of this, of course, as well, especially when it comes to precision medicine. What is the roadmap for AI in healthcare when it comes to provider to patient?
Right, so I think we're living at a very interesting times when it comes to research and development, because in the past, it used to take a very long time, 10 years plus, over $2 billion to develop one drug. Now, with all of that information today available digitally, I believe that that time can be much, much shorter. But what's very important is that the universities continue to, do more and more research, because that's where the creativity comes in place. That's where there are no strings attached to a profit and loss or valuation, for example. Students being themselves, professors doing what they're best at. But what's important is that we create that bridge for innovation, from bench to market, if you will. And in the UAE, there is a lot happening. This September, for the very first time, there was a research and development grant that was launched, and it was specifically for principal investigators who are in universities. And this also encouraged startups to go and work with professors on ideas, because then there is access to grants. And I've also heard that this grant is going to be doubled or tripled moving forward. So, that's very good for the UAE. And I think what I want to discuss here is, let's capitalize our relationship with India and learn from the things that have been done. We have a lot of similar problems, a lot of similar diseases. So there is, a lot that we can do together.
As you mentioned, it's all about learning and development and sharing knowledge, and what an amazing space to be able to just, have bursts of creativity and get that sort of research done without any sort of interference. It's so important, it really is. Khaled, back over to you for a moment. In the future, do you think we could see AI moving towards, beyond diagnostic treatments to the point of, making healthcare policy decisions? I'm sure, people are a bit worried that AI is going to take over. How do you see things going?
As my colleague mentioned about early diagnosis and research, we have been since we started our company, we have been completely involved into early diagnosis as well as research as well. My thing is what we strongly believe is it's not just about the technology we are developing or using AI to develop some kind of technology. It's also how we have to strategize how we get to the population, to the society as well. Not only in terms of public health, but also in terms of research. public health research as well as clinical research and technological research as well. So that's what, we firmly believe on that. And it's not just about, we have to think on the entire spectrum of the healthcare system, right from the diagnosis, treatment, as well as public safety as well. So when we talk about treatment, I mean, I have been continuously getting into the market, talking to the doctors, even the patients as well, breast cancer survivors, as well as the family members of the cancer survivors. One thing we learned that it's not just about giving a solution in terms of diagnosis or maybe a treatment, but also how we can help them in terms of recovering them out of mental situation also. And again, I mean, I'm talking about everything related to AI, how we can do it. So even in terms of coming up with the treatment, I have met a couple of patients who are looking, I mean, they know that, okay, I mean, doctor is prescribing something, they have a chemotherapy or maybe some kind of treatment ongoing, but they also wanted to understand what kind of other similar kind of patients is undergoing, or maybe they just want to speak to them, just to share their kind of this thing, but they're not able to find that. Those kind of thing also we need to think on how we can create a complete spectrum where even the patient can speak with a patient, or maybe a patient's family member can speak with a patient, or maybe other family member. That is one thing we need to focus on. The other thing is when we talk about treatments, even the pharmaceutical companies, as you rightly mentioned, generally it takes 10 years to come up with some new drugs, or maybe up to $2 billion to come up with a new drug, and something happens. And there is more than 75–80% of failures in that part. And also, ironically, there is a tremendous amount of data available in the web itself. Like you have clinical trials available, you have drugs details available, you have patient details available. So you have that data. Maybe by using that data, using NLP onto that, research papers, I mean, a huge amount of research papers are available. Scraping that data, using some NLP algorithms onto it, maybe we can come up with some solution which we can give it to the pharmaceutical companies, or maybe even the patients. They can come up with, they can just read that abstract out of zillions of data and at least get some idea of, okay, this can be a treatment for me, or maybe this can be a better treatment. Well, actually they, before they actually reach out to the doctors. So this is what I think we can think on. And
as you mentioned, it's using that data, isn't it?
And the other thing is, I mean, see, it has to be a ecosystem network between patients, doctors, hospitals, insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, and of course the government, which has to come up with some kind of policies to help not only to the patients and the healthcare players, but also to the technological companies as well.
So to make sure that everyone is aligned. Sadly, we have run out of time, and I just want to give the last minute, if possible, because I really wanted to talk a little bit more about telemedicine, and I thought you'd be the person to tackle this one. So what do you think are the next steps when it comes to enhancing cross-border telemedicine networks in the region? And do you think that's an important area that's going to revolutionize healthcare as well?
Significantly revolutionize healthcare. Again, and I'm looking at it from the perspective of India, where you have a lot of the specialist doctors be in the metros, and you have a vast majority of people still living in tier 2, tier 3 rural areas. And for them to get access to, not just access to doctors, right? But helping them in basic primary diagnosis so that the doctors who are specialists can do things better. On top of that, ensure that the medicines that you need are also delivered to you in time. And last but not the least, you also get your treatments done, right? So what I would like to call the whole spectrum of outpatient or primary healthcare, information, consultation, diagnosis and treatment, I believe that there is a massive role for technology to play and getting those in place. So I'll end with that.
Thank you so much. And any other further questions, please do make sure to speak to our panel. But it almost goes back to our conversation earlier about communication and AI. Do you want a chatbot to tell you what's wrong with you, or do you want a doctor on the phone, right? But really interesting. What a fascinating panel. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for our panel. Thank you. And yes, as I mentioned, any further questions, please do speak to any of our speakers as they come off the stage and just outside there as well. I think we'll take a very quick photograph before we move on to our next panel. Thank you once again. Excellent discussion there. Thank you.
What's the point of personal loans for upskilling if you're going to get them this late? Always pick Subsequent. Loans from Hero FinCorp.
Okay, thank you all so much for being here with us. We have one final session to go here at the Founders and Funders Forum. Thank you once again for being here with us. Please don't forget, later this evening, we're hosting all of you at a gala reception on the 3rd floor at Mistes, so we hope to see you there. You can catch all our speakers there as well and pick their brains. Maybe if you haven't heard enough from them today, that's a great opportunity to catch up with them. We have one final panel. We're going from hospitals to the malls. We're going to the malls quite literally and seeing what the future of that looks like. I believe Dubai is home to more than 100 malls or so, but will those brick and mortar malls remain, or are we going to see something else? We have a wonderful panel with us. May I invite onto stage Dharnesh Godhan, former CEO, Godrej Consumer and Nestle, please, and also Sajan Mangaltu, Chief Financial Officer, CIO and Head of Operations of Hero FinCorp Limited, please. Thank you. Hi, welcome. Have a seat. Ganesh.
Hi, Ganesh. Hello.
Please have a seat. Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. We have the honor of closing FFF today, so we'll make this fun for all our panelists who I'm sure are waiting to go outside and grab a meal as well. Dharnesh, let me just start with you first. 10-minute deliveries, gimmicks like these, is that going to save retail in some way? Or let's actually start off and backpedal a bit to see, is retail in crisis now in the age of AI?
So thank you very much for allowing me to talk. Good afternoon, good morning, everybody. So I got a bit confused by the title because I don't think retail is always going to be there. It's retail. How do you deliver retail? How do you deliver the experience of retail? It will change in the delivery. But the word retail is a willing buyer, a willing seller, somebody just getting together and engaging around this. So my view is retail is changing. It is not dying. It cannot die because human beings want something. You either have an aspiration or a need, and you will find a different way to get that. What I also feel is what used to be called convenience. You know, I remember when the first supermarket or hypermarket opened in South Africa. It was a big thing. People were queuing up. What is this thing called a hypermarket? And I'm talking, I know it's many, many years ago. And the whole idea of going into a hypermarket was just like going to Disneyland.
Yeah.
And then it just became a normal, it's just a form of delivery. You could buy bigger bulk, maybe get a good deal on oil, cooking oil or whatever, right? So I think that is just the delivery format is changing. And why? People used to shop at their mom and pop store around the corner or a supermarket because of range or a hypermarket in its broadest sense because of bulk purchasing. So there were different levels of convenience. I think what's changed is people want, convenience has transformed itself into something else. It's transformed itself into this concept of flexibility. And flexibility starts, the world has changed over, it's life and work begins when there's Wi-Fi connection. So technology has allowed flexibility to grow at a pace and allowed me as a consumer to get things when I want it at the best deal I could get in the most efficient way. But my needs and aspirations as a consumer, as a shopper, is fundamentally still the same.
you mentioned flexibility. In fact, Sarjan, we were not seeing flexibility in terms of, the payment. You now have, say, 20 different types of coffee. You also have different payment options. It's not that flexibility is available in payment just as much as it is in the product availability itself. How do you see that evolving, especially with things like buy now, pay later? This traditional finance model, how is that evolving in retail?
If I just go beyond just the payments and answer the last bit that you asked, how are the traditional models of finance changing? Earlier you had this construct where you go to a financial services company and then you apply for a loan. So that has fundamentally undergone a change with AI. So right now, what AI allows us to do is, for example, you go to a social media site, whether it is a Google or a Facebook, and you see an offer from a financial services company, and then that takes you through a process where your application is processed. So it is now, that is a big channel in which you acquire or you provide financing needs, solutions to the financing needs of individuals, retail customers. There also it has undergone a lot of change. The second evolution of that was you apply and then you use AI to process a loan to decide who is a credit-worthy customer and who is not. Now that is also undergoing a change. For example, now in the underwriting model, you have various segments, and now you sub-segment that to say this is a certain level of creditworthiness, but now you also overlay the fact that this person has come from a certain profile of customers that Google or a Meta allowed you to access.
Yeah.
So for example, you say that, okay, this is a certain customer in a certain age group residing in Lucknow who have come in through Meta and is bracketed at a certain level of creditworthiness. The other element is, what was the ad set and the creative and the collateral that we used to source that customer, right? So now that segment becomes a lot more richer in terms of the data. You now have a location, you have a profile of the customer, the ad set and the creative, and our own assessment of the creditworthiness. That allows us to make much more informed decisions to expand the pool of customers that you lend to, and also then create the product. This is not the traditional physical product, but the interest rate that you charge, or the channel that you know through which you need to now allow the customer to repay the loan. Some of the customers repay through a traditional banking, some. So the entire product structure through which you onboard the customers, starting with what's the point at which you display an ad to the customer, what's the journey through which the customer has come in, and the underwriting model. You have now got a super micro segmentation of the customer that AI and data now allows you for financial services companies now to create the product. Right? So absolutely the delivery of financial services to the customer has undergone a dramatic change with respect to the data that is available now, the kind of underwriting models that are possible, and also the machine learning models that are possible to, so it's all dependent upon how much data that you feed into these models.
Yeah, no, it's something struck me when you were saying this. It's funny how shopping has become extremely personalized in the sense that you have data analytics to tell you what you like and what you don't like, but at the same time it's also become so impersonal because you don't have your local kirana wala shop who knows which coffee you like or knows which tea you like having that conversation with you. So Dharnesh, that there is also that that really cultural shift firstly. And you're someone who's worked in Africa, UAE, India. What do you see the difference in cultural, approach towards retail shopping?
Approach it. When I first started working for a leading food and beverage player, in a junior level, we used to have this thing called path to purchase. So when we prepared our plan, we do a waterfall chart. At each level, there was a thing called path to purchase. And I was reflecting with somebody the other day that, it's from advertising awareness to figuring out which retailer had it, and you go into store and you look at the pack size and you do a price comparison. There was the search process, the time spent. Today that search process is. What I feel unfortunately is happening is it is now beginning to think for me and not allowing me to seek new experience or discover new things. It figures out what I want. And probably I am too much of a traditionalist as a retailer. You know, the one thing about living in this incredible city is you become super spoiled. You know, everything is just comes to your home, whether you want fresh herbs, or you just want, you know, a cereal at whatever time is there.
Yeah.
6 minutes, 10 minutes, and you. I love going to a supermarket. My family don't like it because I buy other stuff, right? So in a way, I just feel I want to feel things and I want to touch things. But what it has done is it goes back to the kind of life. So when I talked about convenience has become flexibility, we also want to reduce search because we rather do something else with our life. What that is a whole nother discussion. I mean, some people say it is allowing us to have more leisure time.
Yes.
You know, what will happen with AI? AI will give us more time to watch sport, to go for more holidays, to read. Technically, it should be doing that.
Yes.
What's happening is we're becoming obsessive sometimes with too much of this. So I think the problem with these models is how much does it allow freedom or how much is it telling me too much? Meaning, we know this is the kind of cars you like, this is the kind of watches you blah, 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 and it carries on pushing.
Yeah.
So this whole push mentality rather than a search process is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But somehow there needs to be, this word personalization, I'm not sure what it really means. I think there's at a point where it's too personalized or a point where it's not enough.
Yeah.
And to be very honest, there's no industry body that's going to tell you that. Each individual has to decide how much I accept what is pushed to me and how much I don't.
Yeah, but are you a dying breed of people who like to go to the brick and mortar shops and, you know, feel the material, hold the product and see it? Because we are increasingly seeing, even in the retail industry, you have this experience shopping. It's not necessarily something you're going to buy a coffee, or even if you do have coffee, it's the whole glamorous look and feel of it. Is that then the future of the brick and mortar shops where we're looking at experience shopping?
No, absolutely. So I think the one thing is we have to now think of retail as an ecosystem, not as, you know, convenience, cash and carry, convenience, hypermarket, supermarket, the way we in the old days classified formats of retail. Today it's about an ecosystem that I want to see something, feel it, okay, cool, I haven't made up my mind, but I go home and I order it online. So this whole thing about building it as an entire ecosystem of experience, and I see more and more actually this experience element is becoming even more powerful. And you know, if you allow me to just talk about Nespresso, you know, I remember the days when Nestle was discussing and the launch of Nespresso, there was lots of debates. I was part of the team that was saying that it should be part of the normal business. And the global CEO at the time, he didn't allow Nespresso to be put into the normal Nestle business. And why? Actually, he was right. I didn't like him at the time because I just wanted the turnover, you know, make yourself like a hero and it helps your ego to get more turnover. But I also didn't want Nespresso because it was less profitable at the time.
Yeah.
But what made it special was when you go speak to a barista in the Nespresso store, but after that, you're ordering it online. So I don't want to carry the whole thing, but I think more and more that's happening more. I don't know, you guys know what's a Dyson vacuum? It's like it's a game changer, this Dyson. It's made my life easier to, instead of vacuuming and mopping the floors, that I get this very stiff look that I haven't done it right. Dyson has been a game changer. But I have to go and feel in a Dyson store. The experience, that you know how they launch a new one, it's a new mopping thing, whatever. I haven't seen it yet. I saw it online and I want to go. So there's a good example. I saw it online, whatever, and I'm going to go one of these days to go and see how it works. Does it really mop a floor? We know there's ice in vacuums, but this one does mopping as well. But I want to feel it. Now I can't take it home, I get it order online, they bring it home, I don't know how to use it, so now I need. But what's the difference now is that the person who's helping you with that experience in a store, the kind of skills training and training that has to happen, the attitude towards customers is not like, I just, okay, you want it or you don't want it. Now that person has to understand the technology, has to help you feel that experience. With coffee, say this is Ethiopian coffee or this coffee comes from North Sumatra in Indonesia. It's a whole different dynamic. So I think there's going to be another level where retailers in the past got the cheapest labor to pack shelves. Now, as an ecosystem, you're going to have to invest in people enhancing your experience by showing knowledge, by understanding your problem and trying to solve your problem. The act of buying can be anywhere. But the decision, the path to purchase is what I think is fundamentally changed.
Sajjan, I know Dharnesh has let it slip that he likes to go to shops and do physical shopping. What about you? Are you retail? Are you an actual bricks and mortar kind of shopping person, or is it more online for you?
No, I like doing online shopping, and he mentioned that he wasn't exactly sure what hyper-personalization is. I just want to touch upon that. Unfortunately, personalization does a lot more of what you just said. It gets into the space of a machine trying to decide what's the best offer for you, what's the best channel. Do you as a consumer like getting an offer through a notification on your app, or should it be a call, or should it be a WhatsApp message? And then there are also the nudge libraries which talks about through Gen AI you can have the content, the collateral as well, designed to say that, okay, for this personality or this persona, this might be the best collateral and the creative to be delivered, right? So it's a combination of the product and the channel plus the content that is delivered. So in terms of the product, right? So yeah, I mean, we focus a lot more on doing that, and I guess it can. So it's an age of quick commerce in India, and when I see some of the offers that are thrown to me, I mean, I can work back and I can correlate as to what the engine is which is running beneath.
Yes.
And the quantum of data that is being generated and the digital channels that are now available, I think it's only going to get a lot more tailored. But I think I am also amongst the last of the people who also like to sometimes go do a touch and feel and then come back and order.
Yeah.
But my personal bet is that you're going to see far more proportion where the purchase happens through, see, for example, during the COVID time, what has happened is the quality of merchandise also scaled up a lot more during for digital channels, right? So I think it's an evolution. You'll get a lot more data. You'll get, as the more and more of the retail consumers start ordering online, the data is only going to get richer and richer. It'll allow you to sub-segment, micro-segment, and get such tailored offers through the preferred channels. So it can be the channel and the collateral and the offer that is coming to you will be so uniquely tailored to you. It is not for 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people.
Yeah.
It is going to get narrower and narrower and get it to the particular person based on the particular person's behavior in terms of what kind of collateral, what's the text, what's the product, and what's the channel. All of that is going to get so much personalized for that particular individual.
Yes.
And the kind of pricing, right? It's not a combination of just the offer coming to you. The kind of pricing that is going to come to you, the kind of repayment options that are coming to you, and all of it is going to get a lot more personal, right? So, I mean, whether you like it or not, that's the direction in which
I can tell you're a tech guy because, you know, when we're talking about sale, you're thinking data. We're thinking discounts, you're thinking data. That's the difference, I think. We are completely out of time, but very quickly, I want to do that audience poll here and check whether we have some more of the dying breed here who prefer going to the shops or they prefer. So all those who prefer physical in-store experiences, raise your hands. And all those who prefer online shopping, It's a split, isn't it? So not bad. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Thank you to gentlemen. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you all for being as part of Founders and Funders. This has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. We need to do a quick. It's a wrap here at Founders and Funders. We have lunch outside, and we're going to be taking a short break, but we'll be back with you at 2 p.m. So stay tuned. Thanks so much.
From humble beginnings in 1985, Javza has come a long way. We have expanded exponentially, growing into a thriving business platform. Today, Javza has become one of the largest business communities in the region that enables trade by providing efficient, productive, and innovative trade solutions. Javza is now a game changer in trade and logistics. The multimodal connectivity expands your market's reach to all corners of the world. The unrivaled benefits of establishing your enterprise in Javza enhances your success to a whole new level. Javza today is a prestigious address for thousands of successful companies across multiple sizes, sectors, and specializations. At Javza, we are fueled by your trust and inspired by your growth.
We've come a long way to get to where we are today. From what started as a single dream to enabling millions of dreams. From a handful of experts to thousands in our team. From two-wheeler to becoming a financing leader, we cover the length and breadth of our nation. As India moves forward, we move forward. With resilience, resolve, and determination. With a focus on digital and innovation, we are relentless in our drive as we strive to meet and exceed the evolving needs of being Bharat ka digital lender. In a market filled with increasing choice, we needed to find our unique brand voice. As part of our journey to tell our growth story, we spoke to people across the country, covering all our stakeholders from customers, channel partners, and employees. We sought inspiration in their values and aspirations. We breathe new life in our brand identity, framing human stories through windows of opportunity, reflecting our vision to empower upward mobility, broadening horizons through financial accessibility. Our loans symbolize a dose of confidence, the confidence to make it happen, the confidence to take action, to form collaborations, to go further than we have ever before, to become an inspiration and hero to all. Hero FinCorp, the confidence to make it happen.
here, possibilities are everywhere. From taking first steps here, to beginning your own wealth journey here. From backing global trade ambitions here, to delivering on that promise here. From representing a team here, to empowering lives here, here, and here. That's why we're here on the ground. Here where you need us, in the world's most dynamic markets. A bank that connects potential to possibilities. So, where will you go from here?
In the heart of India's economic resurgence, a powerful pulse drives innovation and growth. This is ET Now. From breaking news to market insights, we bring you stories that matter, analysis that empowers, and shape the economic landscape of the nation. Join us as we navigate market complexities and spotlight global change makers. ET Now. Rise with India.
मैं हाँ दिलजीत दोसांझ
I really enjoy it.
One of the strengths of your country is clearly its youth. You have so many young people in a vibrant society with a lot of creativity.
It's trusted and reliable and curated. I'm a big fan.
Social in a good way. So the intent was to create a headline, possibly get featured in one of those brute videos.
मेरा ही डिजाइन है और 1 महीने में मैंने इसको बनाया है.
Yeah, we're a couple.
It is very liberating.
You have a famous hair flip that you do?
That's true. I haven't done it.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay.
Oh, wow, brilliant.
Welcome to Dream Set Go, your destination for the most exclusive sporting experiences from the House of Dream Sports. Watching your favorite game from the stands feels great, but for some, great isn't good enough. They want something exclusive. Like cheering for your favorite team is exciting. But to be invited to their practice sessions, now that's exclusive. To watch a big match from the boardroom is fun. But to hold a board meeting at the venue before the match, now that's exclusive. When your favorite driver wins the race, it's epic. But to watch the race from the paddock, now that's exclusive. To witness India's glory at the Olympics is unforgettable. But to sit alongside a champion,
now that's exclusive.
And imagine traveling to your dream experiences like this. Exclusive, right? Get the most extraordinary sporting experiences with Dreams@Go. Book your tickets hassle-free and experience the exclusive.